Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the You Do Not Cook Pizza by Just Staring at the Oven podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the New England Patriots. I'm a big Patriots fan. Before I get to the title aspect of this, right now on the Patriots calendar, people are talking about the Patriots picking up a couple of tackles perhaps and other players on the waiver wire as teams cut down to 53 players on their rosters in a couple of weeks. And I think this would be a good strategy because the Patriots' offensive tackle depth is not so great, except for the fact that I believe the Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders also have the same problem, and they're picking ahead of us on the waiver wire. We're at third, they're at first and second. So I think the Patriots are going to need to be willing to give up, say, like a seventh round pick. They have three of them next year to be proactive and go get whoever they think is the best of the worst tackles, basically. The best of the ones that will probably be cut down on cutdown day in a couple of weeks. And they're in this problem. They have this problem now because last year in round 4 of the draft, they took Jake Andrews, who people consider to be kind of a stretch center. They took last year to be a stretch in round 4. They could have taken DeJuan Jones at right tackle or Carter Warren at left tackle. And so speaking of Carter Warren, there's a chance, I would say, based on looking at their roster, I don't watch much football outside of the Patriots, so I can't say if these guys are any good, but based on their roster makeup, the Jets signed 2 veteran free agents this year to start, and they drafted Olufushanu in the first round. Those 3 are definitely going to make the team. So between Max Mitchell and Carter Warren, one of them is probably going to get cut. But if whoever that is, if they are considered to be the best of the cut tackles, and I don't know if that's the case, but if they are, I would think that the Carolina Panthers or the Washington Commanders would take them first on the waiver wire before they could get to us. So whoever the Patriots think is going to be the best of the discarded tackles when it comes down to cutdown day, I think the Patriots need to be proactive and trade a 7th round pick to get that type of player rather than just wait for them to come on the waiver wire. Now, getting to what I titled this, the New England Patriots will make the playoffs this year if the clear dream that I had back in March comes to pass. And in that dream, I was sitting in my living room watching the penultimate game of this season. I can't say it was this season, actually, but they were playing the penultimate game of the season, which in standard parlance means the second to last, but I like that word. And in that game, I believe Tony Romo was one of the announcers, and he said during the game, in my dream, if the Patriots win this game, they will not have to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs. And he said this multiple times throughout the game. He's really emphasizing this. So the Patriots went on to win that game in my dream. And then in the next part of the dream, I'm watching the Patriots in the playoffs, and they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round, despite what Tony Romo said. And they played a really tight competitive game. They were down by 4 with less than 2 minutes left. They get the ball back in their own side of the field. They drive down the length of the field. They get to the 3 or 4 yard line. And that was either 4th down or the time ran out. And so the drive stalled within 3 to 4 yards of the end zone where they could have won the game. They were down by too much, by 4, to kick a field goal. But the clock ran out and they lost the game. It was very heartbreaking. I was very frustrated. And I kind of said at the TV at Tony Romo, but you said if we won that second to last game, we wouldn't have to play the Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs. And in my dream, the other announcer turned to Tony Romo and said, well, what's your response to that? And it's well, what? And then the dream ended. Now, what's interesting is that I believe in the last game of the season, the Patriots do play the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's possible maybe what I saw in the dream was actually the last game of the regular season, and that they could, if the dreams comes to pass, they'll make the playoffs. And then I haven't seen what happens then. So they could actually advance in the playoffs. But so that was the dream that I had. And so no idea if it will come to pass. No idea if it was about this coming season or a future season. But if it does come to pass this season, then that indicates the Patriots will make the playoffs despite the fact that they're projected to be among the worst teams in the league this year. But I'm optimistic. I think Drake May is going to be very good, whether that's this year or later, I don't know. I do think that a lot of people give the Patriots front office flack this year because they didn't sign any outside big free agents. I think they tried, but teams just didn't want to come to this team because they're not really any good, or they're perceived to not be really any good. But I think that they're going to be better than expected, and except for the offensive line, the tackle spots are very shaky right now. But I think with all the players, the possibilities they have at right tackle, whether it's Onwenu moving back over, or one of the free agent Chaka Okorafor or or whoever. I think the right tackle spot will get shored up eventually, and I think Vidarian Lowe will be a good, solid backup left tackle, but he's not ready to start. And so I do think they need to go get someone. But if they wait upon the waiver wire, I think whoever they want is going to be taken by the Panthers or the Commanders. And so they can't wait. I think they need to go get them with a 7th round pick. I think that's basically it for now. I do want to say that a lot of people criticized them for their offseason this year. I think they did, given that most big free agents just have no interest in coming in right now, I think they did pretty well. I really only questioned this year their 2nd and 3rd round picks in the draft. I think with Drake May, I think everybody would have taken him. So I don't think Elliott Wolf deserves too much credit or too much blame if he's great or bad. But I do think the 2nd round pick, I would have taken Jackson Powers Johnson, the center who was supposed to be the best center in this draft and was thought to be a late 1st round pick. I think taking him at 37 would have been great. And maybe Jalen Polk would have slipped down into the 3rd round. And then in the 3rd round, I would have not taken Caden Wallace. I think that was a stretch. I think there was a bunch of left tackles that went before the Patriots drafted and they were caught off guard. And so they kind of reached for him. They could have either tried to move up or just gone in a different direction at that pick. I think their picks in the 4th, 6th, and 7th rounds were great. Even if those players don't pan out in the 6th and 7th rounds, usually in those rounds they don't. So we shouldn't expect too much. But I think otherwise they did well. We'll see about Jalen Polk and Caden Wallace. Jalen Polk I think will be good, but just not worth the early 2nd round pick they used him. I think the trade they made to go from 34 to 37 and move up from the 5th round to the 4th round was a really good trade, but they just could have used that pick number 37 better. So I think that's basically it for today's first podcast. I hope you like it, and feel free to leave any comments, and I will try to respond. Take care.